In the studio with us, Sheriff Riggs. Good morning.
Happy Good Friday.
Good Friday to you. Easter weekend. Is it doesn't get too crazy, does it?
No.
It's crazy Christians. I'm one. Sorry.
You can plead the fifth on that one.
Lots of good people, just lots of people. Lots of people travel.
Right. And we have good weather for it, so we don't have to worry about that kind of thing.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I really enjoyed yesterday's little rolling thunderstorm going through Bemidji.
That was nice, wasn't it?
It was. I really enjoyed the rain versus
Yeah.
the S word.
Did you see any, Hal? Did you?
You know, of course, I go to park. I had a link panel yesterday at the United Way, and I park, and I know more than park, and the sky opened up and just started dumping, and I had about a 30-yard sprint to the building. And of course, I walk in just soaked.
Sure.
But no hail that I saw.
Okay. Maybe it was just big, heavy rain. It sounded like hail. It has that sound.
Yeah. Just good to hear thunder again.
Yeah.
See a little bit of lightning. Some people may think that's crazy, but when you haven't heard it for
Seemed like forever.
ever.
Yeah.
There was lightning yesterday?
I saw,
If there's thunder, Schultze said there's lightning.
I saw quite a bit.
Oh. Guess I should look up. I just was comforted by the sound of thunder. It usually doesn't snow when we have thunder. Like yesterday.
You two need to quit saying that word.
Well, we think it's past us. I think we're good after starting Sunday, mid to upper 50s, and then in that first weekend of May it's like 60s.
It should be.
Yeah. I saw all the ice piled up on the southeast end of Lake Bemidji.
Lots of lakes starting to recede back from the shorelines right now, for sure.
What does the sheriff's department do to prepare for spring and the opener?
Pray. No, we have a boat ready, but you know what? There's still a lot of ice in spots, right? But it's honeycombed. It's really, really dark and gray looking. Like, I wouldn't trust it to be on it. There are some people that still say it's fine. I am not that adventuresome. But we try to keep, obviously we have a good partnership with the fire department and some of their equipment. And then we keep a boat ready to go pretty much year round. So now if you're out in the middle of the lake, it might take us a while to get to you because I don't know how we're going to get out there, but.
Have you needed the hovercraft this year?
No.
That's good.
I'm knocking on wood.
Yes, that's good.
Well, we still have the second half of winter.
Which would be like fourth winter for us? Or?
Yeah, I guess. November.
Oh, yes. Yeah, 2020. We're still 2025 this winter, aren't we?
Yeah. Only northern Minnesotans think that way.
Yeah.
So, yes, I guess it would be fourth winter. So both Schultze and I are like, wow, you're in your, what do you call this?
This is an external vest carrier.
Okay.
We went to these probably about, I bet you it's been at least 7 years ago now, 7-8 years ago. The gun belt that most of us wear, over the years, law enforcement has found through retirements and through all kinds of different stuff that those gun belts are very hard on law enforcement officers' backs.
Oh, I can
their
imagine.
Hips. Yeah, they cause a lot of issues because you're carrying that weight so low. Somebody came up with the idea of making the military actually came up with the idea of an external carrier. We used to have what we called it LBE, load-bearing equipment. Then it went to LBV, which is load-bearing vest. This is just a vest carrier now. So it takes our internal soft body armor and moves it to the outside of your uniform, and you're able to put additional weight on that and getting some of it off of your hips. And so it's done wonders for certain people with back problems.
Sure, I bet.
Yeah, so it's, and then when you're in the office, you just take the vest off, it comes off rather easy versus, you have to take your shirt. If you have an internal vest, you have to take your shirt off and you have to take the vest off. This also comes in really, really handy for a 10-100.
Ah, right?
We don't use that term anymore, though.
There's no more 10 codes, right?
No.
But that is the
Yeah.
old code for it.
Yes, it is.
So what's in that one?
I carry a little bit of med stuff. Everybody's a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
I carry a tourniquet. I carry a trauma dressing, extra like snivel type gear. Like I might have a treat in there.
Oh, okay, good idea.
Yeah.
It's like his winter survival kit.
Yeah. Body camera. We mount those up there now because they're a lot more secure.
What's that little tan thing? Because people can't see this on YouTube later today.
It's a little light to read stuff in a car if I want it, in the dark. Not that I work a lot of dark anymore, but occasionally,
sure.
I'm out and about, get called out. Or
What's right next to that?
the good old-fashioned Banaka pepper spray.
Oh,
So this is my nemesis. I've been sprayed more times than probably most of my suspects. Because every time
Pointed the wrong direction.
No, it usually comes out when one of the other guys is, when you're wrestling with somebody and they spray, you get it too. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
radio.
Radio, yep. Extra mags, extra handcuffs. If I wore this every day, all day, I would drop some of the gear that's on my belt, but I want to have some of that with me, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And a radio.
And a radio. Most important piece of equipment we have, I think, is the radio.
Do most law enforcement officers now wear a vest?
Yes, we actually have, so to be eligible for federal and state reimbursement funds for the vests, you have to have a policy of mandatory wear. So if you are in a uniform in our office, you are required to wear a vest if you're out and about working. Investigators are a little bit different. They do a lot of static. They don't go to a lot of dynamic, chaotic type of scenes. And I mean, they will help out, but they also have these external vests. They'll throw them on if they need to, but a lot of their work is done, in the ancillary or the outside of the critical side of the incident. It's more so after things have calmed down to a degree. But when we serve search warrants or, things of that nature, they put on a vest when they go to a scene. So
Is there a protection in the back?
there is.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
That's the same thing as having your internal vest on. It's soft armor, just like the internal vest would be. Actually, the internal vest that we get today comes with two carriers. It comes with the internal one and it comes with the external one. So
It's cool looking. I understand why there's not more people that want to be sheriffs, deputy sheriffs, and police officers.
Yeah, and
you
the
get to wear this
Bemidji
stuff.
City of Bemidji wears theirs. They don't look as contrast as we do because theirs are the same color as their uniform.
Oh, true.
So we started wearing the tan ones, but these things get so dirty when they're lighter colored, just because they have high points on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Why is the sheriff's always tan or brown?
It's set by state statute, believe it or not.
Really?
Yep.
Boy, we make some dumb laws.
Yep. The city of or the police departments are governed by the state of Minnesota and what they can and can't. Well, not necessarily what they can't wear, but they're told what they can wear as a uniform. So they have limited choices, same as sheriffs. And then security, believe it or not, security can't wear certain colors
sure.
because they have to be identifiable as security and not law enforcement. So the state regulates how many squad cars I have that can be unmarked. The state regulates colors of squad cars for sheriffs.
Could be tan, brown. They call it Sheriff Brown?
This shirt, I think, is silver tanned.
Oh. Well, lots of professions have a uniform.
Yeah. I've been in a uniform. I was thinking back to this. I've been in a uniform since I was 18 years old.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. Whether that was the service, and I've kind of, well, the haircut's a little bit longer than the service, but I've kind of had the same haircut for that amount of time too. That's why you see most cops when they retired, just like have you guys seen Ernie since he's retired?
Yes.
Full blown mullet. Like,
Yeah.
He's like, I'm out. Like, I'm not cutting this. Yeah.
Let her flow.
Let her flow.
How much of that get up that you're wearing is paid for by the county? How much are you responsible for?
All of the equipment is covered by the county. Any additional things that people want to make for comfort, we typically allow them to purchase it. They have to get approval to have it on their uniform if it's something, because if there's a loss, let's say for instance, you have some, like this thing right here is my personal piece of equipment, this little light here, and let's say for instance something happens to it at work, at duty. The county didn't buy this, I did, so I'm out the money. I would have to determine as the chief law enforcement officer, is this something that I'd be willing to pay for if one of the deputies actually, if it got destroyed and as a result of working. And most of the stuff we do, somebody gets their glasses ripped off their head and broke, we pay for those. Oh. You get a uniform that gets torn, we pay for that. But for the most part, we just want to authorize the appearance. We don't, somebody said, I want to wear a full-time dunce hat to work. It's like, no, you're not wearing that. That looks stupid.
Not that, but so if this vest takes a bullet, then do they say it's no good anymore?
Yes. So in all actuality, the company that makes these vests, all of them stand behind their product. And once they are shot, one time, if it saves you from one bullet or 10, it doesn't matter. The company typically wants the rights to say we're going to replace that vest for free.
Cool.
And then they want your endorsement that their product saved your life.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? So, but all of these vests are there's an agency, NIJ, that certifies the vest as being compliant with what they say it can do. So some vests are rated at a rating of 2A, 3A, 4. Typically when you get into the 4s, you start seeing hard trauma plates. Those are built for taking multiple rifle rounds.
Wow.
Those can't be terribly comfortable to wear.
No, they're not. And most cops don't wear the hard trauma stuff unless we know we're going into an active shooter type of situation. So we have those plates. We can put those plates on. SWAT teams, they wear those while they're deployed, just because, the likelihood of why a SWAT team is deployed is the fact that it's a situation that general law enforcement needs more resources at because of the violence of the incident. But
do people ask you about all officers, whether they're deputies or police officers, about their vest or they have?
We get occasional questions from folks. When these first came out, there was a lot of criticism from the public in general. Just like, this looks like very militaristic. Why, why? And then when you explain to them that this has been healthy for the human body, for officers, it's better for sitting in a car when you have all that stuff from your hip, when you're getting in and out of the vehicle, when you're at a call. It's a lot easier to carry this equipment on your, in this area than it is on your hips. And so the folks out there are like, oh, okay, I see that. That's a benefit. Does it, everybody wants that police officer in the uniform with the tie and the bus driver hat and they have their vision of the 1950s, of the 1950s law enforcement officer. And then when you start looking like this, it's just we're becoming more modern as technology and as advancements in uniforms and whatnot come out. Like nobody wanted to wear the 100% polyester uniform in the summertime, right? Or the wool this or that. So they make all these hybrid products now that make it more comfortable. I remember when I first started my career wearing a cotton T-shirt under, then a vest on top of it, and then a 100% polyester uniform. And by the end of the, not even by the end of the day, by your first hour sometimes in the summertime, you just wish that somebody would just put you out of your misery from the heat and the sweat. And we call this kryptonite. So it takes the best part of us and kind of subdues us, So
Sure.
When I get home, I take off the kryptonite and I can breathe again.
That feels good.
That feels good.
Well, I'm glad that they've come along to see. This is not good for you guys. You should. We should have a new plan for
Why
your.
do we have so many back problems?
Right.
Well, like the advancements, radar in the cars used to be very dangerous for cops, like cause cancer type stuff. And they've made advancements in that. The radios used to be 5 watt, and then they determined that 5 watts was, 7 watts. They used to be 7. My first radio was a 7 watt Motorola radio, and you got this thing that creates all this
RF.
Yeah, all this RF, and you're like, have it at your brain, the whole time, and it's like, yeah, is it the FCC that controls those guys? They're like, I think we need to tone this down a bit. We'll go to 2.5 watts.
Who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
But we all know my favorite. Is there, when you were in class, is there when you talk on your radio, you need to sound like this? Because you have that, you know what I'm talking about? The officers and then the dispatch also, they all have the same kind of tone and delivery. And I'm always amazed how, because when you can hear an officer and the dispatch chatter or talk back and forth, you didn't even sound like they were using full sentences, and both of them each understood each other perfectly.
Yeah. That's what we want. That's the goal, right?
Okay.
We have officers and dispatchers alike. We have officers more so, though, that when they start reverting back to poor enunciation, and so it's like, what did he say? What did she say? Dispatchers, I'm going to give you some love here too. Dispatchers, it's like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end, and that primes us we're elevated, and we're going to the call, and then here it turns out to be maybe not as bad as what used to be. So we call that priming. We don't want that either,
Okay.
And then you got a guy like me who, 2 weeks ago, I don't normally get involved in a lot, but I came out of a store, I saw a fight happening, I interjected, I got punched, and I started calling for more cars on the radio, and they said, yeah, you sounded kind of excitable. I'm like, sorry guys, I just haven't done this in a while.
Well, I don't know many people that take a punch that they're totally calm.
Right.
You were in uniform?
I was not, actually. I was in plain clothes that my jacket said Beltrami County Sheriff. I had my badge displayed. I was wearing a gun and handcuffs, and I had a radio in my pocket. And when I showed up, I chirped my siren and my lights, so they knew that I was a cop.
Oh, that was smart.
Yeah, but
Well, it obviously didn't work.
no, it did not. Well, and there were some other things involved too, as far as impairment goes. But yeah, and of course, there's a lot of funny stories that stem from when the boss gets involved in something like
bet.
this. So yeah, I get heckled a little bit.
Oh, the struggles of being the top guys. Well, thanks for being a sheriff.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
You look good today. Thanks for serving and protecting us.
I'll wear my cowboy hat in next week so you
Do
guys can see it. Mark was asking about the cowboy hat.
All the good sheriffs do. See? And you have one too. Well, you have a good Easter weekend.
Yeah, you guys as well.
Thanks for... is there something you had to get out because we were just grilling you on your...
No, everything is great. Have a blessed Easter weekend. Be safe on the road or, in your travels, and look forward to a nice weather weekend.
Gotcha. See you next week.